ticking clock.
What's up, guys? Welcome back to episode 4 of Hanging Out with Chops. I guess that's the official name we're going to go with. Thank you for coming back and tuning in. First 3 episodes were a blast to do. Had fun editing them and getting them done, getting them posted, learning a lot. This is all new to me. I've recorded podcasts before for other people and other organizations, but never done one for myself. And now I'm figuring out all the ins and outs. And you know what? It's been a blast. I feel like I'm kind of getting a hang for it, kind of getting a feel, getting some kind of direction going. I hope you all enjoyed the stories of the last episode. But yeah, let's go. Here's episode 4. I was figuring for this one, I want to cover studio, or what the question is I get a lot, especially dads for their kids or whatever. Hey, or themselves. I want to start a studio, or I want to start recording at home, or I want to do this on my own. You know, some guys have actually gone to studios before, or they've recorded at their buddy's house, or something, and they caught the bug and they want to record. And so, you know, they'll come ask me, hey bro, you know, I want to get a setup at home. And this is kind of the spiel I give them, you know, the rundown. So here we go. Okay. So outside of like having an area and all that good stuff, I'm going to cover the gear first of the minimum requirement. Okay, you got to choose one of 2 roads. One road is I'm going to record everything on a computer, and it's going to be recorded and edited and mixed and mastered in the computer, or I'm going to go without a computer. Let's cover the without a computer. The without a computer is probably not the road everyone's going to take. It's a little bit harder. It could be more expensive. I mean, you could be a traditionalist and, you know, do reel to reel like we talked about in the earlier episodes, or you can get some kind of all-in-one capture device, you know, something maybe Korg would make, or Tascam, or Roland or Yamaha, kind of like it's basically a mixer. It would be like an all-in-one box solution, but it would never go to a computer. That's one route to take. Maybe I would say maybe at most, maybe 5% of people would pick that. The majority of everyone else would probably go with a computer setup. So let's cover that. I always recommend, first, you're going to need a good, stable computer. Nowadays, you could go with, you know, your home computer, or I recommend people maybe if it's in the budget, try to get a computer that can be dedicated just for this project. You know, consider it your recording computer. If not, go with what you got. I mean, if that's all you got, then that's all you got. As far as what kind of computer, we also covered this, you know, Mac, PC, or Linux. I always recommend, dude, go with what you know. Okay? If you can troubleshoot Mac, go with Mac. If you can troubleshoot PC, go with PC. If you can troubleshoot Linux, go with Linux. Whatever you feel comfortable with troubleshooting, because the issues are going to come up. You know, probably more at the beginning, because, you know, once you get it all streamlined and going, you'll probably run into fewer issues. If you're going to be the guy that's going to be doing it, you're going to be behind the helm, I recommend go with something that you know how to work. Now, if you're absolutely clueless and you're like, bro, to me, Mac and Mac and PC and Linux and whatever, they're all foreign to me. In that case, my strongest recommendation is go with Mac. Go with an Apple product. They just tend to have less bugs, less viruses. Everything is just in your advantage. So if you can, go with Mac. I've seen all kinds of Macs, and really, I was looking before I started this. I was looking at some prices for even what I would consider like the baby Macs, like the Mac Minis, and those prices are really, 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 really feasible. I mean, they're not crazy anymore. They're not like what they used to be. So you can get, for example, I was looking at a mini Mac. It was like, what was it? It was a mini Mac with a M4 Pro, and it had like a 10 core, 24 gigs of RAM, and it was like in the $1,200 to $1,300 range, depending on hard drive space. I mean, that's pretty feasible. If you just went with a mini Mac, just a regular M4, you're looking at probably on the expensive side, more like $800. Those would be great computers to start with. So let's say that's the choice you go with. So hey, you got your computer chosen. That's what we're going with. Cool. That's the computer. Now, you're going to need two things. You're going to need hardware and software. All right. What in the world is that? Hardware. Hardware is going to be what you actually hook up to your computer so that you're able to input into your computer sounds. So, for example, an interface would have one input, two inputs, four inputs, 8, 16, 32, as many as you want. I mean, you can buy an interface nowadays that'll pretty much fit your needs. If you were to get even something as small as a one input interface, like let's say a Focusrite, something very small, or a Scarlett or something, that doesn't mean that you're gonna do just one track and your whole recording is just one track. No, that would mean you would record one instrument, and that would be track one. And while you're listening back to track one, you could record another one, and that's track two. And then as you're listening back to track 1 and 2, you could record track 3, and so on and so forth. As you're listening to track 5 and 6, you record 7. As you're listening to 1 through 7, you can record 8. And you can start stacking up your project, and you can build, your song. If you go with 2, you could do 2 at a time. So you can do 2 tracks. You can do perhaps your acoustic guitar and your voice. You can do keyboard left and right. And as you're listening to that, you can record 2 more. And as you're listening to those 4, you can record 2 more. But now, common sense, once you do get to, hey, I want to record an actual drum kit. Now, a drum kit itself is going to need, I don't want to use the word at least, but you're going to need, I want to say, a good 8 lines. Because you want to do, kick on 1, snare on 2, a hi-hat on 3, maybe tom 1 on 4, tom 2 on 5, tom 3 on 6, maybe overhead on 7, and maybe even ride on 8, or you can do 7 and 8 with 2 overheads, and you can record your drums. Once you get up to 8, now you can start doing drum kits. Same thing with percussion kits. If you have a percussionist, you're probably going to want 4 to 8 lines, because you're probably going to want to record, conga 1 on 1, conga 2 on 2, conga 3 on 3, bongo 1 on 4, bongo 2 on 5, timbal left or timbal 1 on 6, timbal 2 on 7, and then maybe 1 overhead, So that would cover the interface part of it. Of course, the interface would have a preamp per channel. So it would give you, how much volume is being recorded. And that would go, obviously into the program, which would be the software. So that covers the hardware portion of it. Now let's jump to the software, because I was saying you're going to need 2 things, hardware and software. Okay, software, boy, lots of choices. And I'm sure I'm going to forget some brands, but right off the top of my head, you're going to get Pro Tools, Logic, Cubase, Sonar, Reaper, Ableton, if I haven't listed that already. And then there's going to be a lot of free ones that, like, for example, GarageBand comes free already inside of Mac. So that could be, if there's a budget constraint, that can be probably one you start with and you may outgrow rather quickly. Fruity Loops, of course, a lot of guys, especially the hip hop guys, love Fruity Loops. You could start off with Fruity Loops, maybe the Fruity Edition, which would be like more of a sequencer, and then eventually move up to like Producer Edition, which would allow you to take external tracks, vocal tracks, guitar tracks, whatever the case may be. So that would be your software. On the software, a lot of these softwares are tiered. In other words, they're going to have, for example, like I said, Fruity Loops. There's, or at least as far as I remember, they used to be tiered. They used to be, Fruity Edition, Producer Edition, Signature Edition. Same thing with Ableton. There was like Ableton Live Lite, and then like Ableton, regular Ableton, I think Ableton Suite. And they come in different prices. Some might be like $100, $200, $300, $400, $5 or $6 is kind of where they top off at. But nowadays, a lot of them have gone to the subscription. So you pay per month or you pay an annual fee. The good thing about these new subscription ones, they tend to come with at least some kind of reliable tech support. Some of them do sell additional tech support, but that would be your software portion of it. And I mean, thank God nowadays for YouTube. I mean, back in the day, I had to literally, break my head trying to figure out these programs when I first got them. There was no such thing as YouTube. You were literally reading the manual and, trying to figure out how to get these softwares operational. I'm not going to say, honestly, I don't think there's a perfect software. I don't think there's one out there that you can say, hey, this is the absolute best and there is no better than this one. I don't think that exists. I see flaws with every single one out there. I don't think not one software has got it all. I've been using Pro Tools obviously for over 20 years. I don't think Pro Tools is the best. Just like I love Ableton also, but I don't think Ableton's the best. And I love Reaper as well, and Cubase and Sonar and all those. I mean, those are all great programs. I don't think not one of them has got it all figured out. But they're all great. I mean, you can do impeccable work on all these programs I've listed. Now, the one thing that I would have to say about Pro Tools is, I don't know why this is the case, but if you're charging for the work you're doing, for some reason, the customer paying you, he wants to see Pro Tools. I don't know why. Maybe the more amateur guy may want to see Pro Tools, to feel better that his money is being well spent. More of the pro guys could care less. I mean, they just want it to sound good. But for some reason, when you extend that hand out and you're like, pay me, man, they want to see Pro Tools, I guess it's like you bought a car, and I showed you, the brands you knew. Hey, here's a Ford, here's a Chevy, here's a Dodge, here's a Nissan, here's a whatever. These are great cars. And I show you, hey, this is the new googly boogly whatever vehicle, and I could try to sell you on googly boogly as much as I could, but because you never heard of that brand, your odds are you'd probably go with the brand you would know. And I think Pro Tools is just one of those brands that everybody has seen throughout the years, so they just feel more comfortable handing over the money, when they actually see Pro Tools on the screen. Anyway, not sponsored by Pro Tools. I'm just telling you that's how I've seen it. That's how I've seen that cookie crumble. All right, so we got computer, we got interface, and we got software. We got it all chosen. We got it installed. We're ready to roll. Now, it's going to be a huge learning curve. huge. From how do I navigate this program to how do I get a good sound to, everything is peaking to everything sounds real hissy, everything sounds too low, everything sounds too hot, or whatever the case may be. These are the growing pains of setting up your own studio. It's a learning curve, so don't give up, stick with it, and bounce it off friends. Show them, hey, what do you think? Or try to, if you could, a great idea is find a mentor, somebody who's actually doing this already, and pick their brain. Hey, bro, what do you think about this sound? Am I close? Show them the session. What are you seeing? What do you think? What do you hear? A lot of these guys will tell you that, hey, bro, this track 1, 2, 3, 4 is great. Track 5 is what were you doing? Where did you mic it? How did you place the mic and da-da-da. All right, so we got the interface, we got the software, we got the computer, learning curve. Now the other parts, the essentials of what you actually need. Okay, microphones. You're gonna need just your basics, your basic microphones. If you're just gonna start, I'd say, Shure is a good place to go. $100 will get you a 58. Will get you a 57. $100 will get you a very basic Audio-Technica condenser mic. A basic, if that's where your budget is, that's where you're gonna go. So there's a bunch of great mics for $100. It's all gonna be in your budget, guys. If your budget is $500 per mic, there's gonna be some great mics for $500. This part of it is gonna go as extravagant as you want to go. We got mics here in the studio that are $2,000, $5,000, $10,000 mics. It gets as expensive as you want to invest in your sound. Probably the majority, if you're going to do a drum kit, a big part of your budget would probably go to the drum kit mics. So let's cover that. If you're going to go that route and you got your own kit and you're going to be recording it, what I would recommend is start with maybe perhaps a drum mic kit set, like a 4 mic kit set or a 6 mic kit set, and start that with your drums with the intention of replacing the kick mic and the snare mic. Okay, so probably $200 is where they're going to start with a very basic drum mic kit setup, and you're probably going to get a very generic kick mic, snare mic, some tom mics, some overheads, and maybe one extra for hi-hats. If $200 is your budget, or you probably will need a little bit more because you're going to need some money for stands and money for cables. So, try to budget accordingly. But let's say you got this drum mic kit set up. Once you get that, the first thing you want to do is you want to replace that bass drum mic with a good bass drum mic. So get that generic one out of there. And again, this is within your budget. There's some great options. If you're looking at Shure makes the Beta 52, great kick mic. They make the Beta 98, also another great kick mic. Audix has the D6, AKG has a D112, EV has the RE20. It's not really meant as a bass drum mic, but it actually works great as a bass drum mic. So I would look at those. Outside of the Beta 98, they're probably going to be $200 and under. So that would probably be the first one I would replace. And then for the snare mic, I would perhaps look at good old 57. That's a great jumping off point. If you could, maybe get 2, one for the top and one for the bottom. Later on, we could discuss some more advanced miking techniques, but I would definitely go with 157 on top, 157 on the bottom. If not, Audix makes another good one, the i5. I'm just looking at budget-wise as far as what's about $100 a mic. Audix makes a good one, the i5. Sennheiser makes another good one, the 609, another good instrument mic that you can use on the snare. And anyway, start with those two. Start replacing your bass drum mic, your snare mic. You can kind of use the other ones for now, but eventually you want to work in replacing your tom mics probably next, and then replacing your hi-hat mic, and then maybe some good quality overheads. So also keep in mind your stands. That's another big part of your budget. As far as how many stands you would need a stand for your bass drum, 2 stands for your snare, so you can put one on top, one on the bottom. Depending on how many toms you have, you might need 3 stands for your toms, 1 stand for your hi-hat, and 2 stands for overhead. So you'll be talking about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, probably around 8 stands. And also budget in 8 XLRs. So as you can tell, I mean, much like golf or any other expensive hobby, it'll add up pretty quickly. If you get good at soldering, or if you can solder yourself some cables, I mean, dude, you save some great amount of money. I've done it myself. I'll buy a 50-foot cable and some ends, and boom, make myself 5-10 footers out of it. So that's one way of doing the actual mic and mic stands and mic cables. As far as recording guitars, if you're going to record an acoustic guitar, 1 good condenser microphone would do. If you have the budget, 2 condensers, maybe one you can put close to the sound hole, one that you can put closer to the neck, so that you can get a full rounded sound. If you get crazy, you get 3 mics, and actually mic the body sometimes, guys, or sometimes I like to mic the back of the body itself. As far as recording guitar cabs, you can still stick with that same 57 that you use on the snare. If you're done with the drum track, grab that same 57, listen to that amp, don't have it blasting, but have the guy jam, put your ear close to it, to what part of the speaker you think is making the best sound. Drop the mic there if you can, maybe even tape it off so you know exactly where you had it mic'd at. And of course, we're not talking about technique or anything yet. We're just talking about just the basics of what you would need, to start recording. Okay, vocal mic. A vocal mic, because it's probably the one that's going to be the most heard and the most upfront, this is the one you do want to save up for. It's going to be the one that you'll probably have in your mic locker for many, many, many years, So there's obviously all kinds of brands. I think Warm Audio, honestly, has really made a believer out of me. When they first hit the market, I tried a couple of them, but now that I've really A/B'd a lot of the Warm Audio equipment versus, what I think they're trying to emulate, and I hope I'm not sticking my foot in my mouth there, but I just want to be careful I say the right thing. But like when I see an 87, or I hear an 87, and I look at the price of what their comparable version of an 87 would be, it's pretty good. It's a good deal, I think. Anyway, so Warm Audio's got some good ones. Obviously AKG's got some good ones. Sennheiser's got some great ones. Man, there's so many. Manley, Blue, Neumann, Telefunken, so many great brands out there. I'd want to say, just like Pro Tools though, just like Pro Tools and the SM57, there are some industry standards that you may want to stick with. I want to say one good Neumann is really worth the purchase. If you want to maybe start with their entry level, like a TLM 103, around $1,000. I mean, I know it's a bit much, but you can save up for it and you'll have that forever. I guarantee you'll use that on probably every recording. Eventually you would want to move up to like a U87. That seems to be like the standard as far as microphones you see probably at every studio. The U87 is a great mic, closer to like the $2,000 range. I guarantee you it's money well spent. They do stand the test of time, and they do have a great resale value. So if one day you ever do want to sell it and move up to something else, an M147, or you want to move up to maybe a tube-driven mic, these mics do have great resale value as long as you take care of them. So that pretty much covers the vocal mic. Outside of that is going to be smaller stuff, headphones, mic stands. Headphones, you might not need, it depends on what you're doing. If you're recording the whole band at once, you're going to need, 4 or 5 sets of headphones. If it's going to be a singer-songwriter setup, maybe 2 headphones. If it's going to be the rapper guy, maybe just 1 set, you behind the console, monitor speakers down, you can record 1 set of headphones. At some point, you're going to want some kind of reference monitor. Reference monitors are the speakers that you're going to hear the music played back on. You're definitely going to want to try to find some flat response speakers. And what I mean by that is you're going to want to find speakers that don't color your sound. In other words, when you ask for 2 dBs at 8K, that you get 2 dBs at 8K, and that there's not a lot of coloring done by the actual speaker. So that ensures accuracy of your mix. So a lot of great brands out there. Obviously, I love Genelex. Genelex is what we've used here for years. We got all the big boy Genelex here. We got the small versions, and of course we got the desktop versions. If you can't afford Genelex, there's other great brands. Yamaha is great. PreSonus has got some good ones. Atom has got good ones. All right, guys, I just want to let you know, I know I threw a lot of brands. I threw a lot of different products at you all on this one, and I am not sponsored by none of these. This is tried and true equipment, and I'm trying to be very honest about what I see. So all these guys, everything I mentioned, nobody's paying me to say this, so I'm just being very honest with what I'm telling you all. Now, I do want you to remember this one formula: effort versus money. You put a lot of effort, it's not going to cost you that much to start this up. You want to put very little effort, it's going to cost you a lot. There it is. I don't know how much simpler I can put it. If you got the computer, it shouldn't take that much. You already got the computer. So all you need is just an interface and a mic. The software, if you can't afford the software, there's freeware. So that's what I'm saying. It's effort versus money. If you're willing to dig, make the effort, do the research, you can find some freeware software that you can start with. If you're willing to make the effort and do hunting, some bargain hunting, wait for sales to come up, get some coupons, consider buying used, you're going to bring the cost down. If you don't want to put any effort and you just want to get a all-in-one turnkey system, then it's easy. Go to Guitar Center or Sweetwater or any of these. They'll make you a turnkey system. You just tell them, hey, I want a studio, and they'll literally sell it all to you, all ready to go, and it shows up, ready to rock. So there you go, guys. I mean, the most honest I could possibly be about it. You want this, it can happen. Lots of effort, a little bit of money, little effort, it's going to cost you lots of money. I'm shooting from the hip here, guys. I want to be real honest with you. I don't have a script or anything. I just sit down and I'm telling you what I'm thinking. So I may have forgotten a bunch of brands, but I think I hit the most essential ones. The ones that when I go into the studio, I see the most. When I go into someone's home recording setup, it's what I see. So I'm being very honest. So if I forgot any great brands, please forgive me. Companies out there, if I forgot you all, it doesn't mean that I don't like you all. It's just that it might not be one that I see very often. Okay. And I know there's brands I didn't mention, like Universal Audio. Love Universal Audio, but we're not even talking about preamps yet. You know. DBX, love DBX, but we're not even talking about compressors yet. You know. Avalons, love Avalons. You know, but we're not at preamps yet. So, you know, there's a lot of brands out there. You know, DW, we're not talking drums yet. You know, Fenders, we're not talking guitars yet. You know, so I'm just sticking with the very basics. On the next couple of episodes, we'll break all this down. Okay, we'll go into subcategories. We'll cover plugins. We'll cover preamps. We'll cover EQs. We'll cover compressors. We'll cover gates, de-essers, everything you can imagine. But this is just what we would need to get started, okay? So we'll dig in deeper on the next ones. But here you go. Follow these basic instructions and basic structures, and you will get a setup at home where you can put out good, excellent material. All right, guys. Well, that's getting us close to the end of this episode. If you're going to do it, jump in, have fun. You're going to dig it. You're going to like it. We'll catch you on the next one. If you got any more questions, let me know. Send me some emails. Hit me up. I'll try to help you out as much as I can. I hope you enjoyed this one. I surely did. And I'll catch you on the next one, guys. All right.